welcome to Cinema and Save Points. This is You'll Be Fine Court, far, far away from Star Wars. We're going to be talking about debate on the movies that shall not be named, the prequels to Star Wars, and there will be no Jar Jar Binks in this courtroom.
No Jar Jar Binks.
I will not have this in the courtroom. Maybe at the end. No.
No.
No. I'm sorry for our guest here for having a raspy voice.
You be quiet, Darth Chivo.
The Darth Chivo.
Today on Chivo's side, I'm Chris Pratt, and this is Darth Chivo.
With the very bad breathing.
I have asthma.
He forgot to take his inhaler today. Let's get this started. And we have Cinema and Save Points, or do we want to bring up the topics for today?
We'll start with episode 1.
Bum, bum, bum.
And your first topic is Podracing. So, 4TheChivo, would you like to start out? Tell us the benefits that Podracing brought to episode 1.
Okay, Podracing, other than it's working being the greatest line in that entire film, that was like the emotional pivot point of that entire film, where you realize that this young child that you vested literally no time into is something special. So, Podracing. We're here with Podracing. You got Sebulba. You got what's the fat guy's name?
There's a lot of fat guys.
No, the one, not Greek Jabba. The slug. Jabba. Thank you. None of you knew. You know, being a kid when this came out, I was maybe, what year did this come out?
2002 maybe?
So that would have made me 9.
Probably pre that, actually.
Do you think so? Earlier than that?
Yeah, it was probably about that time, actually.
So I was about 9 years old when this came out. We'll say approximately 9 years
I
old.
was probably about 15, 16.
How old are you?
100.
Wow.
Was that irrelevant to the court?
Sorry.
Continue.
Sorry. give me a second. Okay, Podracing. Listen, it was being 9 years old and like seeing that. It's like, you know, I was a Boy Scout, so we had like Pinewood Derby. I'm like, this is like the Pinewood Derby, but like for people who have a life. Even though they're dirt poor, they're like, I'm like, wow, your life's still so much better than mine. They're slaves. They're in a slave planet. Yet, because they have these like events that I couldn't even conceive of. That was incredible to me. So, like, I had a lot of emotional investment into this, you know, and then you had the Sand People just go and try to ruin it for everybody, and Sebulba.
Darth Chivo, do you have any input? All right.
All right.
Cinema and Save Points.
Your
Rebuttal.
Anything? You want me to take this one?
Can we talk about how Podracing was negative to the film?
Besides the fact that it took way too much time of the movie itself, for a Star Wars film, I didn't feel like it really meant anything in like Star Wars canon. Like, what was the point of doing Podracing? Like, it just was, let's sell more toys, and you know, it's.
I mean, like, in the movie, I can understand it's kind of cool, like a little side point, but if you focus too much, because there's bigger things happening around,
Right.
I was going to say the world, but there's the galaxy.
The galaxy.
There's a war going on, there's invasions, planets are getting destroyed, there's a lot more important shit going on.
Yeah, than fucking Podracing.
I mean, it's cool, but there's more important stuff.
Unnecessary. Unnecessary.
Okay, so one quick counter rebuttal,
I hate you and you're stupid.
and your last rebuttal.
I could see how you would feel that way.
All right, so next topic. Our next topic is young Anakin. This time I will let Cinema and Save Points. Please, why was young Anakin negative to episode 1?
He had space age.
We'll get to that later.
Judge.
I'm sorry. Speaking out of turn. Sorry. Continue.
Young Anakin himself, I personally feel like it should have started with an older Anakin in the context of the stories. I think they started off him being too little, and along with the whole like love interest of Padme thing. Like, he was like 8 years old and she was like 15. I mean, I realize not technically, but that's what it seemed like.
Mm-hmm.
So it just, you gotta tweak that a little bit. So
pedophilia.
Fuck young Anakin.
Yeah, I can understand like the age difference because like even like with real life, the younger the person is, like way younger, they won't be that interested in training. Like if you wanted to train as like a Jedi Knight,
Yeah.
and that's a very serious path.
Is 9 too young to make that decision?
Yeah.
So, rebuttal from 4TheChivo. Young Anakin, why was he important to Episode 1? And why was he important to the rest of the canon series?
So to talk about... You're gonna take that off. Oh my god, it's Glenn!
Whoa!
Surprise!
Too much.
Whoa,
I'm
Glenn!
gonna put that right.
That's fine.
Honestly, young Anakin, it showed him mature a lot more. And with your response on him being too young to actually train and to become a Jedi, like to actually want to, what did you want to do when you were a kid?
I actually want to be a wizard. Dude, motherfucking wizard.
I actually
You're not
wanted to be a
helping our
Saiyan.
cause.
I wanted to be a Saiyan,
Huh?
like Dragon Ball Z. Like that would have been
Yeah.
like, really cool.
Super God Saiyan, Super God, whatever.
Super god.
Continue.
I know kids that are younger than that doing martial arts. Not even because that their parents want them to, but because they want to.
If I may interject here, for Star Wars, it's more likely to use their powers for good and such, and that karate and kung fu is used for more for protection purposes. Like they weren't really chosen to go into karate. Like the Jedi's were actually chosen to go.
Mr. Judge, you
No.
are supposed to be an unbiased.
I'm just putting a statement out there. It just does not sway my affection
And-
over the movie and whatsoever.
Well, they a lot of times chose to become a Jedi.
Well, I'm sorry.
You shut your front door.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Continue. I'm
So,
sorry.
tell us your opinion. Why was young Anakin important to the entire Star Wars saga? And
The entirety of it, it's incredible because they start in the beginning saying, movie 2, I believe, I'm going to have to track forward, then backtrack. They say he will bring balance to the Force, which in movie 3 actually does happen if you think about it. Going back to, actually movie
5,
6,
6, yeah,
movie
yeah.
6 brings
5,
balance.
6.
They showed him as that 9-year-old kid who was capable of building his own pod, who was capable of building his own droid. And that droid became a pivotal character out of the next.
I have my feelings about that too, but that's not part of it.
You know, I do.
I
I
hate that he has a point.
I share-
bad.
It's a valid. That will be
I'm
admitted
angry
into
about that. I'm
evidence.
not gonna lie.
I'm a professional arguer.
Duly noted in the court. Then. Good point. Good point.
Shall we move on to our next topic?
I wasn't done.
Well, that sucks. Next topic. Darth Maul. For the Chivo, you get to start out this conversation. Darth Maul, let's talk about why he was important to Episode 1 and the rest of the franchise.
Darth Maul is one of my favorites. He was very pivotal because he killed Qui-Gon Jinn. It sent Obi-Wan into his pretty much training Anakin, which then led Anakin into Darth Vader, which led to everything else.
So in what he's saying is there is a series of events that happened,
Yeah.
all starting with the death of Qui-Gon. Because if Qui-Gon wouldn't have died, then his apprentice wouldn't have risen up, nor would his apprentice have taken on an apprentice. Pass.
So,
They
Cinnamon
got a
Points,
good
your rebuttal.
point.
Why was Darth Maul a negative thing to Episode 1 and the franchise as a whole?
He wasn't.
Anything?
There's really nothing.
Okay. Why he was a negative? Okay. I'm gonna specifically for Episode 1 because that's what our topic is now. Why he wasn't important as a character. I feel like specifically Darth Maul was kind of underused / worthless, and he barely had any speaking lines. The main part that he ever had was the final fight with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, which was epic, I will admit. But to actually use as a Sith apprentice like that, they could have used him way more, or had another Sith character that actually would have pertained more to the whole series. That you could have used him in episode 2 more to further.
So what you're saying is that you should have had an origin story.
Not even necessarily an origin story,
or his own movie.
His story could have been fleshed out more. Who was Darth Maul? I mean, we got that later on in the Clone Wars and Rebels and things. We did get that, but as him for the prequels, he was worthless.
That I do agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, pulled that out of my ass.
Only because you're right. He was severely underused, severely, and reason being is because that actor, I'm pretty sure, was probably not a good actor.
He was in the X-Men. He was
what?
Toad.
He was Toad.
Oh, really?
Yep.
In the old X-Men's?
No, not.
No.
I mean, was he? No, he was the blue
Toad.
guy. He
Nope.
wasn't Toad, was he?
He was Toad.
He was Toad.
Anyway,
Yeah, but yes, he was an X-Men. But yeah,
So
he was fine.
next topic for
So
episode
much
1,
tension.
Midichlorians.
Space Age.
So, yes, Midichlorians / Space Aids. Why were
Bravo.
they negative to episode 1, and why were they negative to the franchise as a whole? I could go on for an hour.
As my only thought about this is that I don't like the fact that they explained the Force. I think it was unnecessary as a driving plot of Star Wars, as you don't need to explain why Jedis are powerful.
It's more like a philosophical point too. It surrounds the people.
Exactly.
It surrounds them. It goes through them. Helps interact the world around them.
It's
Like-
almost spiritual.
Yeah.
You don't have to science it, and you don't have to say, you have X amount of power in you, and I don't have as much power in
Judge,
me.
special interjection?
Special
I would
Edition?
actually
Proceed.
completely agree with this, and I would go on to say that if we bring in a physiological aspect like midichlorians, that we can physically judge them and measure them, then we're discussing, like, we can decide who has more force power than the next. Does that not ruin the whole magic, the whole aspect of the Force in not just in episode 1, but the entire franchise?
That is true.
I object.
Sit your ass down.
Okay.
Wow.
Anyway, please, for the Chivo, good luck.
I don't know if I want to. No, but all I was gonna say is the midichlorian being a science explained thing. That's entirely what Star Wars is. It is a science movie. They are in space, fighting wars in space with lasers and robots.
I beg to differ that it's fantasy.
Jar Jar Binks.
I'm
Hey!
So that would be restricted from the record, and that will count against for the Chivo.
I am actually I kind of agree with them. It ruined some of it.
I like the fact that they explained it, but what I didn't like was amounts. There shouldn't have been a calculable amount.
Right.
That they should have been like, when they said his midichlorians were off the scale, that was crap. I completely agree. But there should not have been a scale. There should have been a way to test if they contain them. That would have been fine by me.
I can understand that.
I would have been okay with that. The fact that she's
How to
absolutely
recognize
right. There's a
someone's
measurable
force
amount of
pensions.
midichlorian,
Yeah.
so that means there's going to be, on paper, more
Over
powerful
9
Jedi.
Exactly. So, do you have your ruling on episode 1? Who do you think won episode 1?
I want to sidebar with you after this is over for like 20 more minutes, all right?
This is why she's not a part of this.
I feel that for the Chivo, even though you mentioned Jar Jar Binks, the point was stricken against you, that you did make a valid point earlier on, and I will rule in the favor of for the Chivo.
Hey!
Alright,
Right,
for the Chivo wins episode 1.